deliver my presentation on introduction to electric mobility and charging methods. First of all, I would like to thank Millet Foundation and Dr. Saif Ifrar for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge and experience with the community. And I am going to, this the next 1 hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, I will talk or give an overview of the electric mobility. I don't have anything technical here. It's all the general information, and from this you can get some insight on what is happening in the market, what are the types or methods available, or the types of vehicles and methods of charging and all is what we are going to see. We will slightly test the market and we will see the opportunities in market and also in the research field. That's what we are planning today. As I mentioned, I will talk about electric mobility in general. I will talk about modes and types of charging, and we will look after the challenges and opportunities. Let me move on. I don't know how many of you are aware of this picture, or do you have any idea what is this? Anybody? You can post your messages in the chat. I can follow it, or you can open your mic and say it if you know it, or it's fine. So, I would like to make it more like the interactive session rather than that I am just speaking from my side. I would like to make it as a real interactive session. This is the first Benz which was introduced by Carl Benz, right? And it was introduced in 1886, and then the technology has evolved, and it has seen lot of changes and revolutions in the automobile technology, and now it is coming with the most sophisticated technologies, and this is classy Benz which is available in the market, we can say. So the revolution from this to this is what put on into the market for these vehicles. A simple dash to dash comparison I have taken because I want to, we again want to see what are the changes which we are experiencing now, or what the automobile industry witnessed is what we are going to talk about with the help of this slide. So as I mentioned, literally there is no dash here in this vehicle other than that of the hand operated rotating steering, which helps to turn this wheel. And I have selected Ambassador with the purpose that Ambassador was one of the most competitive vehicle in the market once, though it is not available here. Still, you can find taxis in many cities, which are mainly Ambassador. So, one of the most conventional vehicle in India, we can say that is Ambassador. And here I have taken the comparison between the. I mean, this is again to compare the technological transformation between the dash. If you see or look at the dash of an Ambassador car, literally it is a hand gear based vehicle. It has a hand gear here and the lighting system, a steering with the horn at the center and the bar. Then uh, that's it. Here we have the air vents, and they put a fan external. I mean, a separate fan is mounted on the dash of the vehicle to get some air circulated. A small dashboard, key, and two switches, right? But let's move on to this one to see how that this is what we call as transformation, right? Have a look at the dash to know how sophisticated the dashboard has been transformed, or the vehicle technology has been transferred. Almost everything is been automated in this vehicle, and this is again for the Benz I have taken. It's not necessary to talk only about the Benz, because almost even the mid-profile vehicles are also having uh, certain minimum technologies incorporated in their vehicles. So this is what the automobile industry has seen. But on the other hand, since the technology has evolved, we are all mainly relying on the internal combustion engine based vehicles. But let's go and look back. What is, because our main uh, focus is on electric vehicle. Let's see what happened to the industry. Now, in the last 10 years only, we are mainly last 10, 20 years only, there was more talk about electric vehicles and the electric vehicle industry. And the industry has seen tremendous changes, particularly in the last 5 years, we can say, from 2015, very particularly. Right. Though there were developments, but these electricals are not at all new. We
ये
know it
तमिलनाडु
all.
वाले
The
दादा
people.
नियो तमिलनाडु वाला
May I request the participants to mute the mic, please? So here, the electric vehicles initially hit the market hardly in 1800, and it was mainly in US. What we are seeing here is the Parker's electric vehicle, which was introduced by that time. I can say this is the first electric vehicle actually. Then there were many companies who came forward to manufacture electric vehicles, and by the end of 1800 it started gaining real popularity. And because they introduced it with the publicize the electric car as uh, the vehicle which gives comfort and convenience for the women community, actually the women society, I can say. Right. Because the operating as we know that operation of the vehicle become more easy when they are going with, that is what they claimed actually. And they introduced the vehicle. Baker's electric vehicle was a company. They introduced the car and they were talking more about this car by saying that this vehicle is very much simple and easy to operate for women. Then again, so we started from 1800. Then in late 1800, this was a scenario, and in 1900s, one third of the vehicles in the market were electric vehicles in US. And the first hybrid vehicle was introduced in the year of 1901. And those who are in the electrical engineering field would definitely know this guy. And Edison was seriously thinking, by the time when he was famous with his DC electricity, he was seriously thinking about developing powerful batteries for the electric transportation. And here comes, though it was very much, as I said, several companies were manufacturing the cars and they were holding one third of the market share in the industry. But things started turning out in the coming years later on. And the internal combustion engine based vehicles were gaining popularity again, mainly because the key reason was what we are talking now also. The cost of the vehicle and the charging issues and other things put back the electric vehicles. And because of the low cost of the fuel, particularly fuel was discovered in Texas that time. So it started giving popularity for the internal combustion engine vehicles, and the production was huge. So there was a key player in the automobile industry who swept out EV from the market. Do you know who was the dominating automobile company introducing hundreds of thousands of, or manufacturing hundreds of thousands of cars by that time? Any ideas? There were now they are still in the market. Actually, those companies are century years old and they are still in the market. And exactly, it was Henry Ford and his Model T. Yeah. It was Ford who swept up the electric vehicle from the market actually, and it is his Model T. This is the Model T of Henry Ford. Ford then started manufacturing hundreds of thousands of vehicle, and they started selling the vehicle at the cheapest cost. In addition to that, the fuel costs were also very cheap. So all these things put together kept electric vehicles aside, and electric vehicles started disappearing from the market by the end of 1900. And There is one documentary, you can find that documentary available in YouTube, Who Killed the Electric Car? That documentary clearly explains the history of electric car over the centuries, how things have turned out time to time. So when you get time, just to go and surf in YouTube, Who Killed the Electric Car, you will get some additional overview about what happened in the market over the centuries. Let's see a little more here. Then again, so we talked about 1900, and nearly after 100 years, the second wave, that was the first wave. In 1800, it started. In 1900, it was at its peak, and that was the first wave. So Henry Ford took the market or dominated the market, and electric vehicles were disappeared from the uh, market. Again, after 100 years, second wave of electric vehicles arrived in the market in 1990s, but the particularly the technology of power electronics mainly, because these are all the things which put together the market trending now. The technology of power electronics, motors, and also the battery, the three major components, were not though they were mature, they were not that sophisticated to develop high power systems, and that faltered the second wave of electric vehicle again. So again, after 120 years of its introduction, from that time when we take, after two decades of the second wave, the third wave of the electric vehicle started. That's what I said. It hardly in 2000, and this time it is in the market. Now we are seeing this, right? So now it became history of 20 years now, electric vehicle. And in the last 5 years, like I said, everyone is talking about electric vehicles, and we started seeing the vehicles on the road. There are several developments in
Mute
all.
ஆயிருச்சா?
It's mainly because, as I mentioned, it is aided by better technology and also the policymakers. Then in 2010, Garrison introduced its Chevy Volt, which is the first hybrid. Let me note down some points here, which most of you know, or some of you are not that familiar with. Here I am introducing a word, plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. We will see them all one by one in the forthcoming slides. So Chevy Volt was the first plug-in hybrid electric vehicle which was introduced in the year 2010, and now almost all the leading automobile companies are in the market, and they are making their variants. As we know very well what is happening in India and who is holding the market at present, and what is the most popular vehicle in India also. So moving into the concepts slowly, what we have seen is the brief history of electric vehicle. Now I am going to introduce, like I mentioned, we are going to see the different types of electric vehicles, and there are several factors which are taken into account in order to classify this vehicle. So the vehicles are classified as conventional. This is the IC engine based vehicle, and we know what this IC engine vehicle can offer to the customer or the user, and also to the environment, right? Then the second category is hybrid electric vehicle. It is a combination of both electric and IC engine. Then the third one is plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, and the fourth one is all electric. From this figure itself, you can easily identify the difference between them. But again, I'm going to talk some more about each of this category. We will not talk about conventional electric vehicle because that is not our focus at this point of time. So I am moving to another type of electric vehicles. The first one is the hybrid electric vehicle. So hybrid, we know the meaning of the word hybrid. It is the combination of IC and electric. Have a look at this car. So this is the source from I have collected this information. I mean this particular photograph. Have a look at this hybrid electric car here. Mainly you have only this IC engine, sorry, fuel here. You have only this fuel filler here. This is the fuel tank. You please note down the size of the fuel tank and also the battery. Please keep this in mind. But when you are coming here, it is having a very large size IC engine here, and there is a power electronic controller and DC to DC converter. These are all the converter circuits which we obviously knew it. This is a conventional cooling system. That is, we are not into it. We are going to the other side. Here we have electric generator and electric traction motor. So the auxiliary battery and traction battery are two different things. Okay, traction battery is one which power this traction motor, and auxiliary battery is the one which is existing in the car, which take care of the audio visual system and the comfort, thermal comfort of the car, which is usually taken by this engine and this battery, and particularly the audio visual system and the lighting of the car is controlled with the help of this sorry, powered with the help of this auxiliary battery. So traction motor is powered only from this traction battery pack. Now, in this car, the electric power which is required to operate this electric motor is generated by coupling this generator to the IC engine, because we have only one source here. That is the most important thing. We have only one source here. So, when the IC engine is operated, it produces the mechanical energy. That mechanical energy is being converted into electrical energy with the help of this electric generator, and that energy is stored in this battery pack. Whenever the electric traction motor need to be operated, then that electric motor is supplied from this battery pack. So the generally the ratio is 75 plus 25 in the hybrid electric vehicle. Generally, the ratio is between 75 and 20. That is 75 percentage power by ICE and only 25 percentage is electric. That is what I mean here. Let's move on to the next category. And the next category is plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. So hybrid we have already seen. Am I right? Hybrid, we have already seen what is hybrid. Hybrid is the combination of ICE plus electric. But here we have plug-in. That means have a look at the battery and tank size now here. The battery pack become bigger or equal to the size of your tank, we can say. So this is a graphical representation which makes sense here. You can say that it is holding 50-50 share of both electrical traction and also the mechanical, sorry, internal combustion engine, right? Now, here you can find two sources. Fuel filler is here and charging port is here, which means what? You can charge your vehicle by connecting it to the external electric source, where you find something new here, which is the onboard charger, because mostly either it is AC or DC, it need to go through this onboard charger. That is what we are going to see in the next session. Since we are supplying it from conventional AC source, let me say, I will forget, let's forget about this now. We are having AC source in our homes, so it is going through this onboard charger so as to do the conversion and process. Then that energy is taken and stored in the battery. So whenever required, it is taken. And here also it has a small electric generator in this system, and the traction size, motor size will be, as I mentioned, in the highest composition than that of the typical hybrid electric vehicle. All the other things remains same. They are the mandatory subsystems of electric vehicle. Now the third category, so the name says everything. It's all electric, or we call it as BEV, battery electric vehicle. This portion is completely, it's evident, right? There is, it doesn't require any fuel filler here, and there is no gasoline tank. It is filled with the batteries, and the IC engine is completely removed. There is no need for IC engine. It has electric traction motor which power the entire system or the vehicle. Then the other things are there, and you can, from these two figures, you can easily identify the changes are in the vehicle, and how the number of subsystems, other subsystems which are associated to the IC engine vehicle can be completely, or IC engine can be completely eliminated from here. So that is the point here. Now let me go back to the slide which we have been seeing here, this one, right? You can, let me put a small comparison again, once again here. So the conventional electric vehicle has only the gas or fuel, and its emission is high. Hybrid is a combination of both internal combustion engine and battery, but this battery, the energy required to operate the electric system or electric traction is also produced by this fuel only. But there will be a slight variation in the system, slight variation in the emission, which is mainly because that the some portion is contributed by electric motor. So electric motor doesn't emit. When you are coming here, as I mentioned, plug-in hybrid has equal share of both fuel and electric. So that further reduces the emission. When you are going for all electric, the motor doesn't emit and the vehicle doesn't pollute the environment. That is the point. So this is very important to understand that the vehicle doesn't pollute, but in the conventional system or the methodology which we are following here has certain drawbacks, because when we compare coal and petrol in terms of emission, coal pollute more than that of the other fuel, right? However, here it is producing the CO2. Another important point is that though this vehicle is not emitting, the energy required to operate this motor is still generated from the conventional sources, and things would change in time. Right? Battery pack. So it's when we are talking about electric vehicle, it's all about battery pack. This is how it is laid in different platforms. So this is the platform of Volkswagen. What you are seeing here is how does it looks like, or the real battery setup is how made in the vehicle platforms. They are all battery stacks. A small look at the EV market. This is showing the number of EVs sold out in the market throughout the period, and you can see the numbers here. Number of electric two-wheelers sold out in the financial year 2021, number of electric three-wheelers and number of electric four-wheelers. The market is quite good. Comparatively, the market is rising, but there are things which we really need to know. Have a look at these numbers, because these numbers, as I mentioned here, these numbers really matter. What you are seeing here is the conventional vehicles. Conventional vehicle means conventional two-wheeler which are available in the market. In the month of December 20, total number of two-wheelers sold out by Hero is 4,25,000. Total number of two-wheelers, hold on for a second. Number of two-wheelers sold by Honda just in the month of December 20 is 2,42,000. Now you compare this number with the total number of vehicles which are sold out in a particular year. I mean, here it is, I mean, this report says that according to the Ministry of Heavy Industries, the total number of vehicles, electric vehicles, which cover all category until July 19, yeah, till July 19, 2021 is this number. This compare, I mean, this has two-wheeler, three-wheeler plus four-wheeler, we can say. But just compare this number with one among these numbers, even it is, like less than that of the lowest number of two-wheelers, only two-wheelers sold in a month. So there is a long way to go. That is a different, I mean, but still the market is on the rise. We can expect something good to happen in the electric vehicle industry, no doubt. Now, let's have a discussion on this one. This is what we were mainly focusing on. In your perspective, what are the challenges for adopting EV in a user perspective? If I want, or if you want to buy a vehicle, what stops you from buying an electric vehicle? You can post your messages. You can post your charging units. Then another answers. Charging the battery, yeah, charging units, or charging infrastructure, range, range, battery life, then anything else? Battery impact on environment, price, battery maintenance cost. Yeah, battery cycle, battery life, everything is coming in. Good looking will come in in time, brother. Don't worry. If you are talking about only the two wheelers, go and have a look at the Ola and Ather two wheelers or other cars which are available in the market. Grid capacity, a more technical insight. But my question is, what stops you from buying electric vehicle? Because grid capacity is something on the other side. I mean, when you buy other electrical appliances, you never bother about what the grid can hold. So that is not our concern. When I buy something for me, okay, I agree with brother Hafiz. That's fine. Now, so let's move on with these things. And charging infra, range, battery life, maintenance, cost of the vehicle are some of the key points you talked about. So I agree with all of you now. Cost of the vehicle. These are the key factors which are stopping anyone from going into the vehicles. And I have the same thing as answer here. Cost of the vehicle is one of the main factor, but every time when new technology comes in, the cost is the trade-off between the market demand uh, and the supply. So once someone has unmuted his mic and forgot to mute it, it seems. Right. So cost of the vehicle, what we as what we people who are seriously talking about the electric vehicles are encouraging the use of electric vehicle, or in this point only. Like you go and compare the, I mean, go and check the price of the computers, or you go and check the price of the mobile phones before 10 years or 15 years, and check out their prices now, where we are, where we have been, or what we are now. So once the market demand increases, production will increase, and once the production increases, automatically the cost of the vehicle will go down. We have no doubt in that. That will happen. No doubt. No second thought. That will definitely happen. Range anxiety. This is one of the major problem, and we completely agree with that, because when we are going with the conventional vehicles, we don't bother about the range, because even if my vehicle stops in one place, in the worst case scenario we are talking about, when we leave from the home, we should come back to our home in our vehicle. Until otherwise, it has some other issues other than the fuel. So when I charge my vehicle and go, if I am coming back in between, if my vehicle stops, then there is a serious problem. I agreed, because if you are going in your two-wheeler or a four-wheeler, the petrol car or diesel car situation is quite worst when it is when the tank gets emptied. But let's forget about that particular aspect. Whether it is two-wheeler, three-wheeler, or four-wheeler, it gets stopped in a place nowhere, yeah, and because of the fuel, we can travel to a nearby fuel station, buy fuel, come and refill, and continue our journey. But that is not really possible with our battery electric vehicle, because of the poor infrastructure we have at present. So underline this, at present. So range anxiety is one of the factor which stops us from moving into this. Availability of charge, that is because of the availability of charging station. So once we are able to fix this problem, then we don't have this problem. This also will be solved. When this is solved, this is automatically solved, right? Uh, According to my understanding or my knowledge, there are plenty of charging stations in Bangalore City. Bangalore City is emerging with the number of charging stations installed, because from the schemes they just hold a higher percentage that we will see. And the reliability, people are talking about reliability in several aspects actually. One is that it's look, like brother Hafiz mentioned, and there are other several factors. Then the billing cost, because now the another problem faced by people who are buying electric vehicle is that the EB utility bill, because I am when I take Tamil Nadu or Kerala or any other southern states, the slabs are between 0 to 100, then 100 to 200, then 200 to 500, I mean 101. It goes in different slabs and price varies. So in Tamil Nadu, this is no cost actually at present. If your utility is less than 100 units, then you don't have to pay. You need to pay only, I think, 30 rupees. That is the service cost. And accordingly, it varies. When you are going for this one, this is 3 to 3.5 rupees. It varies from state to state. And here, it is again somewhere around here between these costs. When you're going above 501, it is a big problem. So consider that you have a vehicle which is having, for example, 30 kilowatt hour battery, and you are using it every day. That means you need to charge your vehicle with 30 units of electricity. When you are charging your vehicle with 30 units of electricity for 30 days, then it is 30 into 30, 900 units. Your slabs goes up, and you have to pay a lot for your. But when you are comparing this, I am coming to that cost comparison also. It is going to be somehow less than that of what you are paying for your fuel every month. But still, this is one problem. But in there is a separate scheme for EV. You can apply for uh, a separate scheme only to charge your electric vehicle, and the rate is flat 5 rupees, irrespective of the number of units you are charging. So in this way, policies will change and you will have new policies which encourage the utilization of or adoption of electric vehicles. This is the number of charging stations which are funded by the FAME scheme. FAME 1 and FAME 2 are the two schemes which are introduced by a Department of Heavy Industries. And in the first phase, they allotted 427 charging stations across the state, and have a look at the major shareholders of this system who got more number of charging stations. And in the second slot or the second phase, they are about to place 2877 charging stations. And again, we are going to have good numbers in these regions, which includes somewhere Tamil Nadu was there, right? Tamil Nadu is here. So these are the states which are going to have a major share. If you calculate this one, it is 10, 20, 30, 45, 55, 60. So nearly 60% of the charging stations will go to Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu. You can add Rajasthan also. That means that one of the key problem which we are facing now is the charging station that is about to be solved. But again, this is the point. There should be number of electric vehicles, then only automatically the charging stations will grow up. Let's have a look at the charging infrastructures now. According to this SMEV report, we require 400,000 charging stations by 2026, because it is expected that across this country we will have 2 million EVs. And as of March 2021, we have only 1,800 charging stations. Now you can easily go and compare these numbers. Just have a look at the numbers and the way we need to go, right? It's a long way we need to go in order to implement this charging infrastructure. Now let us see something about the electric. So that is one of the problem. As I said, though there are several problems associated to the infrastructure, we can somehow overcome these things over a period of time. Now I'm quickly moving into the electric vehicle charges. Since we have only 15 minutes, I will go through it quite quickly. It's a basic, like I would like to introduce a fundamental, or I would like to share the information about the types of charges we have and the methods of charging we need to know. This I already show you. Onboard charger which is available inside the car. So the chargers are mainly classified into two types: AC charging and DC charging. We will see them one by one here. And there are two types of chargers. They are onboard charger and offboard charger. What is onboard charger? Onboard charger is a charger which is available inside the vehicle. Offboard charging means the charging stations which are available. So there are two different ways to do charging to your vehicle. Anyway, all the vehicles are coming with the onboard charger, the four-wheelers, and also the with the battery management system also. This figure explains how this works. When you are connecting it to your AC grid directly, when you are connecting it to your AC grid, that is what we do in our home. We have AC supply. We connect the vehicle through this electric vehicle supply equipment. This is called electric vehicle supply equipment will be connected to this grid service. So this pilot wire is the communication between the supply equipment and the onboard charger. Now, since we are connecting it to AC, you just follow the red line. It will go through this AC to DC converter because our battery is ultimately a DC source. Then the high voltage DC is applied to the battery pack. When we are talking about the off-board charger, that is mainly this DC charger. So here is the difference. This is AC charging. This is DC charging. When you are doing the DC charging, you don't need to go through this process of AC to DC conversion. So from AC, it will go to the electric vehicle supply equipment plus AC to DC converter, which means this is outside your vehicle, external charger outside your vehicle, and you don't have to use the onboard charger because it is already DC. So it will bypass the onboard charger and you will supply it to the battery back. So the levels are given here. We will see them all one by one. Basically, 3.3 kilowatt is standard charging adopted by most of the vehicles, and this is the onboard charge. We will go and see the others one by one. So there are three major definitions: charging levels, charging modes, and charging types. Charging levels are uh, the defining the rated power, voltage, and current, the electrical parameters. Actually, charging levels are defining the electrical parameters of the charger. And the charging modes are defining the type of power delivery, the protection associated to it, and the communication and control protocols. So that is the difference between charging level and mode. When we talk about levels, it is about the power rating, I can say. Charging mode will tell you the mode of delivery and the level of protection in the charging. Another one is charging type. It deals with the different types of charging sockets, different types of sockets which are used for charging the vehicle. These are the three. There are three major charging methods or charging technologies, I can say. This is what we called as conductive charging. The conventional method of charging: plug your vehicle into the electrical grid, is conductive charging. This is called as inductive charging. So this one is wired and this one is wireless. That is the basic difference between them. And the another technology is battery swapping. Now we have a hope only on this battery swapping to solve almost all our problems. Whatever the main problems we are talking about now, like the range anxiety, battery cost, battery maintenance, reliability, all can be sought out by this solution of battery swapping, because there is an advantage of battery swapping. I will talk about it if time permits, and I will go through all these things quickly. We talked about the charging levels. We don't have 120 volts because this is based on UK and US standards. The basic difference is we directly connect it to the system, where here we have one dedicated unit for charging in the level 2. The range will vary actually. As I mentioned, the electrical range will vary between them, and level 3 is the dedicated charging station, and this we do at home or residential, see, household outlet. We connect our vehicle to the household outlet. Here also we are connecting it, but not directly to the household outlet. There is one electric vehicle supply equipment where we connect our vehicle for charging. This is charging from the charging station. So this is the basic difference between them, where the power really matters. Current and power really matters. Second one, when you compare this to the previous slide, you can relate them. This is charging mode, but in mode 1, again we connect it directly, but there is no protection actually. Here In mode 2, it is coming with the production and control circuit, in-cable production and control circuit. In mode 3, we have dedicated EVSC, which has control, communication, and production function. And the fourth one is DC charger. So the first three modes are AC charging modes, and the fourth one is DC charging mode. CHAdeMO and charge the move. Actually, CHAdeMO stands for charge the move, and this is a combined combo charging. Actually, these are the different types of chargers, and Tesla has its unique charger, which is I mean, a single charging charger can be used for both AC and DC. Let's have a look at our standards now. Let's have a look at our standards now. We follow two different schemes, AC 001 standard and DC 001 standard. So the two major, I talked about CHAdeMO already. Another standard is GB by T. We are mostly following or we are mostly using this connector. Only in few vehicles they are coming with this CHAdeMO. Indian manufactured vehicles are mostly using the GB by T connector. Now have a look at the details. So according to AC 001, the charger size is 10 kilowatt actually, but the charging standard is 3.3 kilowatt. You can charge your vehicle with the maximum capacity of 3 kilowatt. This charger has this 10 kilowatt charger has three charging points in one unit. In a single unit, it has three charging ports, which means we can charge three vehicles at a time with a capacity of maximum 3.3 kilowatt power. On the other hand, when we are talking about DC 001, DC is the fast charger. So this is a difference between slow charging system and fast charging system. When we talk about fast charging, we obviously deal with the DC charging. Have a look at this capacity. It is 15 kilowatts. In India, only 15 kilowatts is allowed until now, according to DC 001. But still, people are working on 20 kilowatt and 25 kilowatt to 30 kilowatt systems. This is connected to a typical three-phase AC system, and there is only one output. So, this is the basic difference. Here you have a maximum capacity of 3.3 kilowatt, but here you have 5 times the better capacity. So if you are charging your vehicles, if it takes 10 hours to charge your vehicle with this capacity, now this will reduce the time 5 times when you are going for this one. For example, that is a one straight general calculation I mentioned. Here we have another standards for the DC charging. As I mentioned, so the different levels are coming here according to Bharat EV standards. 10 kilowatt to 50 kilowatt is DC level 1, 30 kilowatt to 150 kilowatt is DC level 2, and these are the different types of methods. So you can see here, as I mentioned before that, Indian manufactured vehicles are using this GB by T. The examples are Mahindra and Tata Electricas. They are using this standard, and CHAdeMO belongs to Japan. CHAdeMO is the Japanese technology. So all the leading Japanese automobiles are coming with CHAdeMO. CCS, I said, combo charging is used by BMW, Volkswagen, and other industries. Garrison also. This is a typical same example of what we have taken, but this is giving you a little more insight about the voltage levels. In Bharat DC 001, this is the fast charging, where we have 50 kilowatt with the voltage range of 200 to 750. which goes for four-wheelers. The other standard of 22 kilowatt is adopted for all two-wheeler, three-wheeler, and four-wheeler. This is for this DC system with 48 volt and AC system with 230 volt, slow and moderate charger. So 15 kilowatt charger is comparatively a coming under the category of moderate charger only. When you want to go for charging your vehicle in 15 minutes to 1 hour, then you need to go for a better capacity of more than 20 kilowatts minimum. Then only we can efficiently charge our vehicle in a short period of time. So this is more technical, but still it gives some insight. Again, I am repeating this thing here. If you have a look at this, this is what I have just talked about. This is a 3.3 kilowatt, but the operating voltage is 230 volt. When we are talking about the DC charger of 15 kilowatt, there are two variants. One is 48 volt because the vehicle has a battery system of 48 volt and 72 volt, 96 volt. Different power trains are there. Based on this, this will work mainly for the four-wheelers. But almost all the two-wheeler and three-wheelers are coming with the 48 volt battery and motor system. This communication protocol plays a very major role. That is why I took this figure. It is not just actually when you are connecting your vehicle to a charging charger, it is not only about charging. When you are charging, you need to have a communication between your charger and your vehicle battery management system in order to protect, mainly to protect and efficiently charge your battery. Also to improve the reliability of the battery. These are all the things we need to take care of. So these are all being taken care by the communication protocol of the battery management system, which continuously associate with the charger. So a very straightforward equation would give you how much time it takes to charge your vehicle, right? Because it depends on the battery capacity and charging power. I already mentioned the number of hours taken to charge your vehicle depends on the capacity of the battery available in your car, energy capacity. So when you have 18 kilowatt hour battery, 18 by 6, it's very straight. 18 by 3 kilowatt, 18 kilowatt hour by 3 kilowatt would give you 6 hours. And when you are connecting that to the 11 kilowatt charger, it's a moderate charger. It takes 1 hour 38 minutes to charge the same vehicle. And when you are connecting that to a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger, your vehicle can be charged at 22 minutes. And that varies depends on the capacity of the vehicle. And like Nissan, sorry, if I am not wrong, then the capacity of Tata Nexon is 32 kilowatt hour, where Hyundai Kona is much higher than that because it has the highest range. That makes a difference, and that makes the here in for electric auto. Do you have any idea about the capacity of electric auto and electric two wheelers? Do you know what is the battery capacity of electric two wheelers available in the market? Anybody? Autos, auto rickshaw? The capacity of electric auto rickshaw is available in two standards. 5.9 to 25 kilowatt hour is very high. It is between 5.4 kilowatt hour. Two main variants are 5.2 kilowatt hour and 7.2 kilowatt hour. This is very specifically for Mahindra Trio. There are now other players in the market who are coming with different ranges. So now we are moving on to the technical challenges associated to the adoption of electric vehicle. This is our fundamental knowledge and skill about the new technology, mainly for the people who are using the vehicle and the people who are trying to promote the vehicle. If you go and as an electrical engineers would definitely know this. As an electrical engineer, you go and talk to the marketing guy of electric vehicle. He will not be able to provide you 100% information of what you are expecting, because they are not skilled about the technology actually. And there are wrong interpretations about electric vehicle. Like someone was talking about the safety of the vehicle. Someone mentioned particularly about the safety of electric vehicle. We don't find it that harm, and there are many other wrong interpretations spread over in order to keep the uphold of IC engines in the market. That has to be changed. And technical support lack is still there. So number of service stations, someone mentioned, the number of service stations are very less, and there is no potential service happening, because what we understood from the market is that we are regularly discussing with the auto rickshaw owners uh, who are having the electric auto rickshaw owners, and one of the problem they mentioned is a very frequent failure of the chargers. They use the external charger. Actually, they plug in charger with that. EVSE is coming with the protocol and the wire, like what I shown in one of the figure. I have shown only the four wheelers, but you imagine that there is a the plug which directly goes into the vehicle charging system. In between that, you have only the EVSC. Now, their vehicle charger is very frequently getting damaged due to several technical issues, and they are that is one thing which make them so worried, because most of the time they are putting their autos rickshaws in the garage. Again, the same point about the technology and electric vehicle supply equipment is what I mentioned. Now let's move on to the third category of opportunities. So a few news I have collected from EV Reporter, which gives a real good hope for EV users, particularly the auto owners, because Honda is planning to install battery swapping centers across the state, mainly for electric three-wheelers. Now, the other news you can see that market is still rising. I just wanted to tell you that market is rising with the help of these figures. You can see that in the second news, Omega Seiki Mobility, it is written there that the running cost is 1 kilometer, 1 rupee per kilometer. That is not the case for any electric commercial vehicle, any commercial vehicle, IC engine based commercial vehicle available in the market now. Financial opportunities. You can still grab a fund from several resources to promote the technology, and there are possibilities. That is what I would like to expose by these two news. You can read out the dates of all these news. See here, this is from October 29, 2021. This is from September 20, 2021. This is from August 2021, and again this is from October 2021. This gives a hope for the people who are coming forward to work in the EV industry. So EV industry is rising. EV industry is a multidisciplinary industry. Though we call it as electric vehicle, it's a multidisciplinary system. It requires electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, software engineers, communication engineers, and for battery system there are chemical engineers. There, so it's a multidisciplinary. system which is coming into the market. So plenty of job opportunities are also there, particularly for the power electronic engineers, I can say. And coming to the point of research opportunities, like I mentioned, in the job opportunities, a lot more can be done in the area of power electronics, because power electronic system is the heart of electric vehicle. So power electronic, without power electronic system, you cannot complete the process. So power electronics and motors are the core of the vehicle. So there are plenty of opportunities to work on for the researchers in converters for charging circuits, power quality improvement circuits, vehicle to grid and grid to weight technology, and a lot. Then in the charging side also, you can work more on optimal charge scheduling, and also the communication is the another aspect where you can work on vehicle to grid communication, grid to vehicle communication, coordinated charging system, etc. So here with these things, I just would like to show what we have done. We have done one, we have successfully completed one project in our region, which is funded by the state government agency. I just wanted to show some pictures of what we have done. We developed, means we designed an electric vehicle charging system with the solar PV system. I said sometimes at the beginning that though we are charging our vehicle, and I mean, though we call the electric vehicles are emission free, we are emitting at the generating side itself in order to charge our batteries. So emission is still there. One possible possible way to reduce that, or to eliminate this emission, is bring renewable energy technology and incorporating renewable energy technologies into the charging system. So we designed and developed, built a system with the solar powered charging. We installed, this is the one, this is a Bharat AC 001 standard charging station, which is having 3.3 kilowatt. You see here, this is what I mentioned about Bharat AC 001 with, it has charger 1 here, charger 2, and charger 3. This is the connector we talked about, and there is a cable going out from here. You can directly charge your vehicle. They are connected to the plug actually, because this can be taken and directly you can plug in your vehicle into it. That is other way to charge your vehicle. And this is connected to a three-phase input supply. Each one of them is having a capacity of 3.3 kilowatt, and this is a 10 kilowatt charging unit. This is a 10 kilowatt charging unit which we installed. And I think that in most, there actually plenty of charging stations in Bangalore also are adopting the similar technology. This is one charge mode, is the 3.3 kilowatt single module charger. You can charge only one vehicle at a time, but here this is coming with a little more better technology than this one. Here you need an operator. This is coming with a good interface. So I think many people are that's what I said. In Bengaluru also such kind of systems are available, I believe, because it is coming with the QR code, and they develop their own app. You install your app and buy some credit. Then whenever you go, you simply read the I mean, scan the QR code. Your vehicle charging process will be initiated immediately. And when you unplug your vehicle, or you can stop charging by entering into the app itself. I have a connection problem. I hope you can hear me, right? Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, fine. So then we are just talking about the last slide. I will reconnect my system and show the slide. However, so that system is working in this way. You can charge your vehicle just by connecting it. So once your charging process is over, the amount which you have already, just like that of the prepaid charging of our set-top boxes, amount will be automatically debited from your account for the amount of charge you, energy you charged. That is how this works. Let me connect again to show my presentation. There is nothing more in my presentation. That was the last slide of my presentation. So we discussed about our, we had a discussion, or we have looked after the basic brief history of electric vehicles. Then I talked about different types of electric vehicles in general. Then I explained about the market strategy, then market potential for electric vehicle business, and startup opportunities. Further, we have seen different types of charging methods, possibilities, research opportunities, and I have shown one of my projects which we have done, and it is ready for use in Kollam city of Kerala. So with this, my presentation is over. Uh, I am open for any questions now. Please
I just
proceed.
want to ask about the licensing part. If someone want to have the charging station, is there any need of a license to be applied?
It's not about the licensing. You just need the you need to get a individual connection. If you want to go for it, you need to go for individual connection from the utility services. Once you have it, then you can go for a charge, because now that is how they are doing in Kerala. It's more like the PCO model. We had PCO models, the telephone public telephone services. Like that, you can go and proceed with that, and the investment is very less, because uh, again, and I am talking about Kerala, because I am in Kerala and I am working more close with the people who are in Kerala. In Kozhikode, Calicut, we call it Calicut. In Calicut, there are plenty of pole-mounted charging stations across the city, and the investment is very less. The one black box which I have shown here costs only 10,000 rupees. So if you have a small little space, or you can put it in a supermarket in front of, not even a supermarket, you can put it in front of a grocery shop with an independent connection.
Thank you. So that charging point can be used for all types of vehicles. I think it depends on the 3 kilowatt, 11 kilowatt, and 70 kilowatt, I feel, right?
Yeah. Now the one of the most common model available in the market, all types of available, but investment will vary. And this 3.3 kilowatt charger, even I said, Tata Nexon is coming with the 3.3 kilowatt onboard charger. So most of the vehicles available in the market now in India, uh, the market potential now is to provide charging station in front of our charging points near to auto rickshaw stands. That has a good business model now, because that is how it is succeed in Calicut. I said.
Okay, thank
And
you.
one,
And what could be
yeah,
the minimal investment we can, if you want to start up this?
this one I mentioned. You need a small space where you can you mount your charger with electric utility connection. So if you are going to put it in a public place, then you need to go for some legal formalities from the corporation or your local governing body, administration. From here, you need to get the permission for that. If you are owning a shop, you don't need to do anything. Like if you or your friend is owning a grocery shop, you just take on independent utility connection. You buy a charger, place it, connect it. It's all done with the production. So particularly this model which I have shown doesn't need a person to take care of. Yeah, I will go just to scan my through my app, and my vehicle will charge. When I am done, I will leave. Completely for a single unit, you may need a maximum of 50,000 rupees investment in the worst case. with 50K, you can do one charging point, I believe.
Thank you. With respect to the different cars and different interfaces to connect to the battery, do we need to have all those interfaces with us? I mean, the
No,
charger,
not necessarily,
adapter.
because now in our case here, we are using the conventional plug. For most of the vehicles, we are using the conventional plug. The one who is owning the car would possibly have his charging plug in his vehicle itself. So when they are coming, they want to plug in their vehicle, they will obviously plug into the charger only, because this charger is charging port is coming with the vehicle, and we provide the charger, right? So our charger has this GBT plug. They will come with that. Even otherwise, if you want to provide additional service, you can have the charging plug also with you, and that is not also going to cost much. And additionally, one more thing is that, as I mentioned, many drivers are now facing difficulty of auto rickshaws, particularly facing difficulty of the reliability of charger. So if you are able to provide them with a small charger which interface our charger and their vehicle, then again that will be the great thing for the auto rickshaw owners actually.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your reply. If I can get your contact number, would be appreciated in case if I want to start up any business. Or
Definitely. I will share it. I will share it in the chat box, because the like I lost my connection. That is why I couldn't show this. I will go back and connect it again so that I can share my screen, and I will post it here. 1 minute, huh? And one more thing is that actually in between this, I said something about the battery swapping technology. Uh, Battery swapping technology works in this way. You buy a car, or you buy, I mean, and it's not going to come soon. I don't think that it is going to happen soon in the cars, but it is definitely going to happen in the two-wheeler and three-wheeler segment. When you buy a car or a bike, you can buy it without battery, because battery is one of the key investment in that. Then, if you go with the swapping batteries, it is working in this way. I can show you the battery swapping with the help of a video. Please wait. Meanwhile, I can answer your questions. If you have any other questions, I can answer your questions.
Sir, my name is Zafar. I'm speaking from Bangalore. I just want to know what would be the approximate infrastructure cost, and if I have to set up a solar powered PV kind of this thing for the charger, what would be the square feet area also which it will occupy, apart from the electric?
Yeah. So you want to know about the, for example, if you want to go with the charging station, one of the most easiest way is to have a rooftop system, right? So where you can provide space for the vehicles to come, stay and charge. Meanwhile, you can generate electricity from the solar system.
Yes.
In our case, what we did is that it is a pilot project we installed. We have a 6 kilowatt solar PV system. This 6 kilowatt solar system will generate 24 units. Okay.
Okay.
Approximately 24 units of electricity it will generate. Or let me make it in a broader scale that, hold on for a second. If I am able to connect again, I can just write it down and show you too, so that it's more easy for you to understand things, right? Please wait. I'm connecting now.
Hello, sir. One question. Like in India, we are following different standards like GB/T and CHAdeMO and all. So this charging station should will support all these kind of standards. or it will be specific to standards?
No, you must follow all the standards. But in mainly that said, most of the vehicles currently in the market are this GB by T. But of course, yes, if you want to run a business, then you need to have both petrol and diesel in your place. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Saif sir, can you please make me host again? So you must have both the technology, of course. But again, I am coming to the same point. In the present scenario, the vehicles, though they have different charging plugs, uh, we are just using the conventional plugs to connect the vehicle to the charger. That is how it is working in majority of the cases. So that is the only thing which you need to work out. I am coming back. Hold on for a second. You can see my screen now, right?
Yes,
Yes, we can.
So here what we have is that this is a 6 kilowatt PV, 6 kilowatt inverter. Then it is going to the distribution panel. So when I am not using this energy here, this is the important thing. When I am not using this energy here, that will go to the grid and I can get money from the grid. But now the grid policy has changed. Before they were paying more amount when we are supplying to the grid, and we need to pay less amount when we are accessing it from the grid. Now the scenario is different. Grid price become low, so it is always advisable to use it potentially here. For this system which we have installed, it took 6.75 lakhs. So each panel, someone was asking me about the right. The panel size is nearly 2.2 meter wide, and so you can call it as 2 square meter because it is usually 2 meter wide and 1 meter, 2 meter long and 1 meter wide. So each panel is 2 square meter. For example, if I am taking a 350 watts panel for 1 kilowatt, I need 3 panels, which means so for 10 kilowatt, I need 60 square meter space only for the panel. By having a proper infrastructure, I need a minimum of 75 square meter roof in order to build this system. So you can build this system in this way. Let me show you. I will just do a quick drawing. It's not going to be that good, but still you can understand the concept. So consider that this is a roof and this is our space, what we built. Right here you can have 2 or 3 charging points where you can park your vehicles 1, 2, 3. So when you are building such an infrastructure, you can potentially use this space on the roof, and this definitely would give you such a space on the four-wheeler which you are planning to put in between these 3 stations. And this is how this will work. So, for example, when you are going for a 10 kilowatt system, let me make it clear again. When you are going for a 10 kilowatt system, you need an investment of 5.5 lakhs only for 10 kilowatt solar PV system. And with an investment of 10 to 15 lakhs, you can have a 10 kilowatt charging station, because I consider that each of them is 3.3, and you will have a generation of 40 kilowatt hour, which means 40 units per day. And for one auto rickshaw, I am concentrating only on auto now. Okay. For one auto, it takes 5 kilowatt hour and it needs 3 hours to charge. So you get a calculation from this to get some idea about the profit. Now, for 8 autos, you have generation. 40 units per day, I mentioned. The standard cost per day, what we are, in cities, it will be quite higher. Per unit charging is 10 rupees minimum. From the units, you get 400 rupees from solar PV. Only for 8 autos I am talking about, where you are not buying electricity from utility. But when you have 3 points to charge, 3 charging points on an average of 3 hours, I said 3 to 4 hours actually it will take, not 3 hours. For full charge, it takes 4 hours. But you consider 3 hours the vehicles are kept on here for charging. I am talking about basic case, okay. In this case, you need to, how many autos you can charge in a on an average of 5 autos you can charge in 1 point. That means a total of 15 autos can be charged in a day. And according to Kerala standard, as I mentioned, we buy it for 5 rupees and we are selling it for 10 rupees. So this is how things work out. And battery swapping is technology which is more thing than that of. In the present scenario, we need charging stations. Slowly, you can accommodate your, because in order to convert, in order to have your battery swapping station also, you need a charging station here anyway. So maybe in future you can easily convert it into a swapping station. Swapping stations works in this way, like you just build your swapping station just like that of your petrol station. There you will have 15 to 20 batteries. So when I am almost draining out, I will visit the nearest battery swapping station. I will remove my battery and I will put it in the this is how it looks like. 1 minute. I think you are able to see the figure now. Each square box which appear in the slide are holding a battery. So there are 2 empty slots you can find at the right side in second row. Zoom the figure and check it out. Second row at the right side, it has 2 empty slots. So when you are approaching the charging stations, what you all need to do is you just remove your battery. The one on the top is the handle. Remove the battery from your vehicle, put it in the charging station and authorize with the card or your login provided to you. The
No, I think
swapping station will sense.
we see this slide as this news on EV.
Yeah, that is what I'm talking about. Yes, this section there, and the right side, the square box with the blue color squares is the battery swapping station actually. So you simply let me show it. This is the battery swapping station. I have just marked, wait. All these individual square boxes here, which you are seeing, are having battery. Since the signal is weak and it takes some time to appear on your screen, as I can see that, there are 20 boxes where you will place your, so when you, as like I mentioned, I just don't want to take too much time. Already past 30. It will sense your battery, and you can take a new battery. It will automatically eject a new battery. You take it, place it in your vehicle, and go. All this process will gets over in 2 to 3 minutes. So it is exactly similar to that of you are filling fuel in your vehicle from the petrol station. This is how these things work. And battery swapping stations and battery swapping technology is having a very promising future in the industry, particularly that we are using more than two-wheelers. So that is why we have a good hope for this battery swapping technology. You don't bother about the investment for your battery. Okay, but the pricing of the because you know what is the problem? The battery will last for 2000 cycles, right? For example, it will last for 1000 to 2000 cycles, or maximum 1000 cycles, the best battery available, let's say. Then you need to replace your battery. If you are running you are charging once every day, your battery will run out in 3 years. Not in 3 years, just before 3 years. So consider that the battery, then it is a huge investment. But in this case, you don't have to bother about the battery at all. You are paying a little more in order to swap your batteries, because you are not the owner of the battery here. Owner of the battery is only the swapping station. You go and replace your battery, you forget about it, because so based on that only they fix the cost for the battery which you are taking from the swapping station. That is how this technology works actually. And so please take my mail ID here. sheikmd.s@gmail.com, and I am available in 9500243999. So you are welcome, because we are we are already working with a few teams in Kerala. We are working with one company who is going to establish solar powered charging stations across the state. TKM College of Engineering, where I am working, is the technical consultant for that project, and we already have tie up with this charge mode for industry academy interaction also. So we have close relationship with them also. I can extend my help to my level best in all these aspects. Wherever I can possibly help or provide you support or get you links, I'm happy to do that. If you have any other questions, we can proceed.
Sir, one more question regarding
Yeah.
about the battery swapping. How
Yeah.
much it is possible? Because right now every vehicle there is a different kind of the battery is using. In that case scenario, how we can use a single built-in battery replacement unit to be cover this all the type of the vehicle?
Well, that is what I said. When you are coming, like the capacity of the battery remains. For example, for an auto or for the two-wheeler, the capacity, like what you said, there are 2-3 different capacities of batteries available, and those capacity of batteries are available in your swapping stations also. So that is what I said. When you are injecting a battery into the swapping station, initially the battery swapping station will sense and collect all the information about the battery you installed there. Okay. Based on that information it will be providing you a new battery with a charged battery, not a new battery. It will provide you a charged battery. So, but if you have a look at the structure of the battery, it remains same for all the cases, because I will show you one video now. Wait for a while. Let me take it. Meanwhile, you can, if you have any other questions, you please proceed with your question.
Yes. So I have a question about the outcome of with respect to the earning. So how what could be the possibility of earnings, and how is the scope of business on this?
Like going for you just become the supplier. That is what I suggest, because these charging stations, when you are going to build it in a large scale, then where you have a lot of potential in the market with the vehicles in the state of potential, in the sense, if you are installing a charging station in a place where uh, vehicles are there and they have time charge the vehicle. Otherwise, you can go for a business of installing battery swapping, and you can go and think about a next level business of being the promoter of charging station. You just go and install charging station for someone, where you will find what is this. Okay, where you have business potentials. This one, like a person who is having, like I told you, no, grocery shop can put it aside and can make money. In large scale, it works really well. Where I found several charging stations in other countries, where all the cars are coming to charge 100 to 200.
Okay, meaning that we need to just install first one place, then we can become the promoter of that.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Sheikh. Shall we close the session now?
Sir, there is a question in chat box.
Dr. Sheikh, are you there?
I hope you can hear, right? Because there was a technical problem. That's why there's one chat box for that. I will answer so that we can wind up the session, I think. Okay. Dr. Nazif Khan was asking about the biodiesel, scope for the biodiesel in future. These are the two different aspects. As far as we understand, there is a tremendous progress in the electric vehicle sector now. If there are based on the outcome of biodiesel research and biodiesel vehicles, possibly that will also progress over the period of time, because that is also not having any environmental effect. That depends on how technology works. That is what I understand.
Sir, one more
Okay, if
question.
there are no other
Regarding about
questions,
the hydrogen, regarding about the hydrogen
Yeah.
fuel cell, new technology, maybe it will be swap the battery in the future, or any idea? Hydrogen fuel cells.
Actually, there are pros and cons about the hydrogen fuel cell, its efficiency and other issues, because we don't have matured technology to adapt to fuel cells until this time, particularly in Indian scenario. So time will answer this question actually. That depends how we are going to have this technology, and battery has a promising. Now we know that battery is a promising solution, and further we have the super capacitors are coming into the market. They are also the proven technology that will help to enhance the efficiency of the vehicle. But fuel cells are there. Fuel cells technology is not into the market in terms of electric vehicle. There are very few, but not that succeed as far as I understand.
Thanks, sir.
Anything else? Okay. Any other questions? Dr. Saif, I think we are coming to the end of the session. We can wind up the session.
Okay, thanks a lot, Jazakumullah, Dr. Sheikh, and thanks to all the participants for our lively session. Okay, with this, we can conclude this session.
Hello? Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Saif, for the opportunity.
Hello.
Hello, sir, we can hear you, yes?
Sir, I have a question, sir. Can we bring this new technology as to prepare for autonomous charging, sir?
Is this Muhammad Abdullah?
Yes, sir. I'm Abdullah.
This one?
I'm not able to hear you properly, but I'm able to speak to you, sir. Hello.
Okay. Yeah,
sir,
yeah.
I'm thinking
that
about
is how we are doing.
Sir, I'm thinking about autonomous charging, sir. We have natural resources in very many types of resources, sir.
That is why I talked what I mentioned about when you are going for the solar powered charging system with such kind of charge mode modules, similar to charge mode modules, you don't need a person there. Everything will happen automatically, you know. You need to plan and work.
No, sir. During night times, if you are driving in the night times and all, why can't we use gravity as a?
Yes.
Why can't we use gravity and air both combined to make an autonomous charging, sir?
I appreciate your passion on this technology, brother. Please go ahead and do some protests and come up with the results. Inshallah, that will support the community.
I have acquired 40% of charging while traveling to 100 kilometers. I got 140 kilometers, and so I'm trying for to double it. To how where I can put all this stuff to make a project, sir.
Okay, you write to me if I have any information which I can help you with. I will definitely share you. Okay.
Because
I already shown my mail ID. So,
sir, every road is not a level road, sir. There will be ups and downs. I mean, what to say is roads will be somewhat slope and somewhat higher, like that. In such a way, when we are in traveling in a what you call low this one, sir, where we have generate from what we call gravity, sir.
yes, brother, I told you, no, I understand your question and I really understand your passion also. But I am not a person with the capability to answer that how we can generate energy from gravity and air. I'm not into it actually, to be very frank.
Sir, I want a simple this help, sir. Where can I put this project to develop and groundwork this one, sir, prototype?
That is what I told you. Just I shared my mail ID here. You write
Yes,
me
sir.
your requirements in detail. Whatever the help I can provide you, I will write you back. No problem.
Well, thank you, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Saif, and thanks to all the participants who were here for last 1 hour 50 minutes now. I can say thanks to all. I'll leave the meeting
Thank
now.
you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you very much.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you.